A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. And you are watching Understanding Islam with myself, Zakira, Shyrose, Dhalla. I'm here on Hidayat TV every Friday at 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Toronto time. And mashallah, viewers from all over the world who join us every Friday and Monday as well. Monday is my Urdu program, Falsafa Dua with Zakira Shyrose. And I really look forward to these Fridays because I get to speak in English, which allows me to really speak um, uh, complicated concepts often. So I look forward to this. And today I'm doing a topic that I'm especially excited about because this is a topic that is basically what Islam is all about. It's the whole basis of our faith. It's exactly what the Holy Quran is inviting us human beings who are on this journey of life to do, and that is to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely and to develop a detachment from this dunya, this world. So today's topic is about zuhud, the concept of zuhud, which is detachment from the dunya. But it's a deeper concept than this very, I would say, very simple definition. Zuhud, let's talk about it a little bit so we can understand it a little bit more deeply. So zuhud is basically, in English, we would define it as asceticism. Asceticism is, this piety, holiness that we look at people who are very religious as, that they're very spiritual, very lost in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, this definition can also be a little misleading because it means that often we think this person has left the dunya. But zuhud is actually abstention. It is being in something and yet not being in it. So very philosophical, isn't it? But yes, human beings can absolutely do that. Every experience that you have, these out-of-body experiences where you are doing something but yet you're not really there. Where are you? Often it happens when we're driving and we say, how did I get here? How did I get through all these traffic lights? How did I get here? All these roads and stuff, how did I? So what happens is we go into some sort of autopilot. So it means we're really there, but we're somewhere else. Where are we? We're in our thoughts. We were somewhere far away. So we're here and you're not here. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this incredible thing in human beings that we can do that. We can have out-of-body experiences. We can become disconnected. And we can also become very mindful. Depending on what you do and what your intention is, you can absolutely take yourself far away and really experience a memory and really get lost there and you're still here. Some people have developed the art of being in a classroom, looking like they're watching the teacher. Their eyes are open, but they're asleep. Literally, you can sleep with your eyes open. Yes? So there's something that human beings can do. But also this mindfulness that we find right now as a buzzword. What happens with in yoga, etc.? These retreats people have where they're taught to really get connected with the here and now. And that means taking account of the wind and the texture and the sounds and one's deep feelings, one's breathing. All this stuff makes us become very mindful. Zuhud allows a person to be right here and yet be somewhere else, detached. It's an abstention from worldliness, not from the world. Because if you're out of this world, then you can't function here. Yet you can do all this work here, and yet your heart is with God. Your heart and your soul is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're connected with Him at all times. This is exactly what we Muslims are always supposed to be doing. So it's not abstention from the world, because Islam does not promote becoming a monk or a hermit, becoming these we hear about these, in for example, in Hinduism or Buddhism, these people who leave the world, who become sadhus, who become this sage. They sit on top of the mountain away from the world, and they just want to do their meditation and they want to talk to Allah, God. But Islam is such a beautiful religion, giving us a way to become very connected with God, becoming completely lost, and yet able to be very much in the world and do very much the things that the world expects from us. And there are countless hadith about this, and the Holy Quran also extols us, encourages us, pushes us to leave the dunya and then also to live with the world. It's a very philosophical, often complicated, often ourselves. It can very much be done. So let's talk about this a little and see how we can attain some of this and inshallah get a feeling for it. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has said there is no monasticism in Islam. There is no concept of this, that you can be in a monastery and you can be just completely lost in God only, like we find in Catholics, for example. There's the nuns who don't get married, who are lost in God only, and who only want to pray day and night. So they don't want to work for themselves. They just want to. And the nuns do this. We in Islam don't do that as well. Nope, this is not a concept in Islam at all. And there are stories. There was a lady who came to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and she complained that her husband has detached himself from everything. He's become so religious that he doesn't want to come out of his room. He wants to just do his worship, and he doesn't even have marital relationships with her anymore. He has become completely lost in God. And when the Holy Prophet ﷺ heard this, the hadith tell us that he immediately put on his his abba, quickly fast put on his slippers and rushed to this man's house. And he said, this is not what I have been teaching at all. This is not Islam. Islam is not that you lose yourself in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and leave the dunya. There is another story of a man who came to Imam Ali alayhi salam and began to really criticized dunya, and he said, what is this world? People are terrible. This world is awful. Now this is a concept that we find in many hadith, that don't get lost in this dunya. Don't fall in love with people and with items and with dunya so much that you forget what God is. However, this man was now hating dunya so much that Imam stopped him and said, don't criticize the dunya this much. This criticism that we teach you is for you to understand the reality of this dunya, so you don't get completely addicted and obsessed with it. However, dunya is very much needed, because if you didn't have dunya, how will you attain the hereafter? So there is a moderation in the religion of Islam, that you take from the dunya all that is needed in order to get the akhirah. You don't take all of dunya, forget akhirah. And you don't get so lost on the akhirah that you completely leave dunya. It's a middle road. It's a middle path. And often in our spiritual journey, we find we become a bit of this too much and a bit of that too much. And life is all about balancing that and being very reflective about what we're doing and really saying, have I given up my family, my children, my other part of my life, because I've become so ecstatic, having this spiritual experience that is causing me to retreat. It's causing me to leave my family. It's causing me to become too lost in this. So it brings us by reminding that this is also ibadah. And that's why you have all these hadith about women who do housework. This is also like doing a night of ibadah or 100 years of worship. It's like doing an amal. It is like reciting the Holy Quran. You're sweeping the home. It is like you have swept the Baytullah. You have done gone to the haram and actually swept the floors there. So a woman who does, for example, nurses her baby is like she's doing dhikrullah. So that we understand that even when we live in the dunya, we can attain the akhirah, and that we doing dunya things which are for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can lead us to God indeed, and not just leave us here in the dunya. Then we find that Islam therefore encourages us to worldly pleasures, because what happens is when we become very much um, addicted to the endorphins that are released in any worldly thing, what happens is it makes us forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it becomes our God, so to speak. It becomes idol of choice. An idol is not just these things that people make and worship, not just a body shape, but definitely our idols can absolutely be material things. Working for our house, working for that expensive purse or the expensive outfit, jewelry, etc. Also, our idols can often be someone, that a human being. We forget everything else. We love this human being, sometimes our children, sometimes our spouse, sometimes our beloved, so much that we forget God, and we put this person on a pedestal or this item on a pedestal and forget everything else. So there's dangers indeed, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can keep us grounded and keep us aware of what we are getting very lost in, because otherwise we will lose the big picture and forget what our maqsad is, why we're here totally. So we want about what is this zuhd. One who practices zuhd is called a zahid, and a female version of a zahid is zahida. So inshallah, we are aiming for this. The hadith tell us that Bibi Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, Bibi Zainab alayha salam, these personalities were very much zahida. That's why their lakab, their name is Zahida. Bibi Zainab alayhi salam, case in point, has been described in the literature as Zahida especially. Why? Because it is known that Bibi Zainab alayhi salam was married to her cousin Abdullah, who was the great-grandson of Hazrat Abu Talib. And we know that he was a very wealthy man indeed. And so Bibi Zainab was married to a man who, Abdullah, was brought up by Imam Ali alayhi salam, very much trained by him. He had inherited wealth. He was a very wealthy man indeed. He was so rich that he was one of the most richest people in Medina. And what happened was that people would often come to him for help, for money. He was known as the cloud of generosity. MashaAllah. He had this big heart. And this is what we all wish, that Allah gives us a lot of money and also a big heart in order to part with this money. Now, Bibi Zainab alayhi salam, growing up in this kind of home where people would line up for money and food and would come as people who are requesting at the gates of a massive palace, so to speak. But Bibi Zainab alayhi salam never herself was a person who got intoxicated with this wealth. It's very beautiful. She was a zahida, a person who had the world but took very little from it, just enough to survive. So we find this in all the Ahlul Bayt alam, in the Chaudah Masumin alayhi salam, that even Imam Hassan alayhi salam, once when someone had said, well, you're wearing a beautiful robe, he showed him that he was wearing a very rough clothing inside. That he said, I am actually very much a very simple person, wanting very basic things. But this robe I have to, because as an imam, I have to also look with the level of the other people out there. So there is something about also being dignified. You don't become so so that from the world that you don't know what is acceptable, how to look out there in the world, how to present ourselves. Islam doesn't say we have to become ugly. Islam doesn't say that we have to become unattractive. Hijab, for example, very much we can look very pleasing to the eye, but we should not be attractive enough that someone then is looking at our beauty. There is a fine line here, and this happens right now in this era where people, mashallah, wear hijab, and they're really, lovely ladies who are trying this, but then they get so caught up in the hijab, making it look beautiful, that now there are all these hijab tutorials. Now there's all these ways to beautify hijab, making it look like it's almost hair. Sometimes these kinds of caps inside that look like as if there's hair, making the hijab curl in such a way it looks like it's hair being curled. It becomes so much that now it's become a whole industry by the hijab industry. And for the person who's trying to become a zahida, it is a dangerous thing, because you can get so lost in it that now the very thing that was to hide our beauty becomes the very reason that we look beautiful. It's a very dangerous thing. And we always have to be moderate. We have to be basically dignified and sophisticated and look presentable in the world, and yet not become extremely attractive in this very hijab, which was supposed to hide our beauty. So as you can see, it's a very fine line, and we are walking this very dangerous path, often a path that we can often go this way or that way. So we have to be very careful that we don't get into this materialism of this world. Most of the time, the zahid who is doing zuhd is occupied in preparing for the permanent road, the permanent house, the permanent abode. They're not hoarding, they're not amassing for this world. And one of the signs of a person who has become dunyawi, very much in the who has had hubb dunya, they're lost and they love the world so much that they have so much. And you see their cupboards bursting with beautiful clothes. Watch some YouTube videos. You see these people with these massive closets. Even their closets are but with a fingerprint. To get in, you have to use your fingerprints, because there's millions of dollars of stuff in these closets. Things that they've maybe worn once or not worn. Things with tags, watches, purses, jewelry. So it's dangerous to see such people, because those of us who really even love these beautiful things, even we look at it and we feel a bit sickened, and it makes us feel like this is israf, it's excess, it's too much. And there's a danger. The more you acquire, the more you feel an appetite for it. Dangerous, dangerous indeed. In Urdu we say, "Inka dil hi nahi bharta, inka pet nahi bharta." No matter how much they eat, they want more and more, and they're still saying, "I wish I had room to eat this and this and this and this. I wish I had space to buy this and that. I wish I could change my furniture once a month." And there are people who actually do this, by the way, who are always redecorating, always changing their house, buying houses, and they have so much. And you look at some of these massive palaces that people own, celebrities own, and you look at this and you think, does a person really need 10 houses? Do they really need 20 bedrooms and 20 bathrooms and all these massive, massive things? Do we need all this? But ask that person who owns it. They say, "I need it. In fact, I want more." Yeah, kabhi zarurat padegi. Sometimes I might need this, sometimes I might need that. So yeah, slippery slope indeed. What does Islam tell us? That you are allowed to take from this world a little bit, but the whole thing is about being in moderation and preparing for the next dunya, for the next world, and not just by worship only, by also living here, working here, earning a lawful living to support one's family. Also, we need to socialize with family, and so we should be a community member. We need this world. We need to meet everyone and yet be very spiritual. Someone who has ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, someone who is an arif, who knows who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, who is connected, who is very tawhidi, and who is very much spiritual, who is very much connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does the Quran tell us? The Quran tells us that there are people who are so lost in this materialism, and what has happened to them? These are the ones Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. This is Surah Baqarah, ayah 86, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look at these people who are materialistic. They are the ones who have bought the life of this world for their hereafter. What did they do? They bought this dunya and they left the akhirah. So their punishment shall not be lightened, nor will they be helped. When you do this, you're on your own now. You bought this dunya, you forgot about the akhirah. Now don't ask Allah to help you. In Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 212, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the fact that the worldly life has been glamorized for the faithless, and they ridicule the faithful. You see, look at these people, Allah, Allah, all the time, all the time in Zakira, all the time in Majlis. They don't want to even look nice. They don't even want to have a nice house. What's wrong with them? So what these people have done is that worldly life is glamorous for them, and those who are mu'min, they ridicule them, they look down on them. They don't even know how to live. But those, Allah says, who are God conscious, who are muttaqi, they shall be on the day of judgment, they will be above these people who were mocking them. And Allah provides for whomever He wishes without any reckoning. So those who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who are focused on Him, there's no hisab for them, because Allah understood that they have left everything for Him. They practice zuhd. Allah in Surah Ali Imran talks about these people who, some of you desire this world, and some of you desire the hereafter. We have to ask ourselves, who are we? Where do we want to be? In another ayah of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how you see this world, don't be misled by it. You see these people having a lot of fun, don't be misled by it. Case in point, look at these places in the world where people are having a lot of fun. And Dubai comes to mind. Absolutely, a lot of glitter, lot of pleasure. Everyone's eating. It seems like everyone's shopping. Everyone's having so much fun. What is going on? Is there no work for these people? Where are they getting all this money? So much enjoyment. Right now, even to go to the Maldives, for example, it's nothing less than $1,500 a night to stay there. So now it's become a thing. You go there. This is a status symbol that you're going to enjoy these beautiful places in the world, Singapore and the Middle East. There, these things that are all shining at you, glittering, and also all these resorts around the world that are so high level. I don't know, Bora Bora and all these places. You're like, I can't even think of getting there. How do these people enjoy such a life? I could have this feel, right? Allah says in the Holy Quran, this is in Surah Ali Imran also, between Surah ayah 196 to 198, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about being, mesmerized. Often people are shopping. If you go to some of these massive malls of the world, you see these people shopping, and now there's brand names that they're shopping. Never, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah, never be misled by the bustle of the faithless in the towns. It is a trivial enjoyment. Then their refuge is hell, and it is an evil resting place. Just shopping is not haram, right? But these are people who are buying these expensive, you know what I'm talking about. The purses right now that are no less than $4,000. Yes, there are absolutely purses that are $50,000. There are purses out there that are $200,000, $300,000. Birkin bags, etc. Yes, these are purses that are kept in boxes, and they're just a piece to look at. You wouldn't even use this purse. What's so special about it? If you had $200,000 to put in a purse, it would be nice. But these are purses that cost $200,000. Really scary. And some of these are really tiny purses, by the way. $50,000, $60,000 purses that are really this small. You can't even put a phone in them. a cell phone. So it's really scary. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, they look like they're having fun, but it's a trivial enjoyment. Their refuge is hell, and it is an evil resting place. Why would such people go to hell? What's so wrong in them enjoying their money? Let's hope they're doing some charity. Let's hope they're doing some ibadah. Let's hope that they are also loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you love Allah so deeply, these things they make you sick. They feel like, I would rather give this in charity. With this $500 dress, I could have helped build a water well for some thirsty person in the world. So definitely what happens is when you start buying these expensive things, you are holding this money that could have been used for a better cause. But those, Allah says, who are conscious of their Lord forever, for them is a hospitality from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happens? They become the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is with Allah is better for the pious. This is so beautiful. So you give it to Allah, then it is better, definitely. Indeed, Allah says in Surah Yunus, ayah 7 to 8. Here Allah tells us, indeed, those who do not expect to meet us and who are pleased with the life of this world and are satisfied with it, those who are oblivious of our signs, it is they whose refuge shall be the fire. Because of what? They used to earn. So this here, you're happy with this here, then you are pleased with it, you don't want to hear about our signs, then that's your choice. Your refuge will be the fire, because that's what you earned. And of course, the famous ayah from Surah Al-Ankabut, where Allah tells us in ayah 64 that the life of this world is nothing but vision and play. But the abode of the hereafter is indeed life, had they known. The life of this world is a distraction. It's dunya. Don't go for it. Don't get distracted. Remember that the akhirat is best. So let's go forward and understand a little bit about zuhud. Basically, then we're seeing here that it is non-materialism. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that zuhud is not to give up what is halal, or make what is halal haram for yourself, or not to own anything in the world. Basically, zuhud is that you don't trust and find more security and safety with what is in your hands. You don't think, this is everything. If I lose this, I'm done. I need my house. I need my money. I need my nice clothes. I need my beauty. I need all this. But then you're focused on what is with Allah. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests those who are really getting close to Him. Because He wants them to leave all these things that they use crutches. He said, I love everything, but don't take this away from me. I must have my coffee in the morning. I must have my grandchildren beside me. I must have my slim body. Take everything away. I need to have my flawless skin. So what happens is then exactly these things will be tested with. So that we do not become these people who are making that thing our God. We gave up everything, and yet we became so connected with a worldly pleasure, or a bodily pleasure. So those of us who are getting very connected to God, you'll find now they cannot eat those things that they loved, or their bodies no longer look as beautiful, or their things are taken away from them. Their children, they experience death in their lives. This is not a punishment from God. This is a way for Allah, for us to become more connected to Him. The very thing that we needed for pleasure is taken away from us. We feel that this is a big pain and a big hurt, but this is Allah showing us we don't need all these things. We can live in spite of all that, and we can still be confident even if we don't have those things anymore. So the sixth Imam said, Zahid is one who keeps the halal. And why is he keeping away from even the halal? Out of the fear of hisab, on the accounting on the Day of Judgment. So it's halal to buy a purse. It's halal. However, you also are so careful that you don't do too much because you're worried about hisab kitab. No, let's not joke about it. Well, I'll tell Allah, yeah, so I used all this money. Okay, so what? Allah will show us exactly all the things we could have been doing with that money, and we will feel a great regret. So the person keeps away away from halal as well because of the fear of the hisab. Imam says they keep away from the haram out of fear of adhab, for the chastisement on the day of judgment. Nahj al-Balagha, beautiful book indeed, of sermons and letters and sayings of Muhammad Ali alayhi salam, and full of this theme of being non-materialistic. And Imam Ali alayhi salam talks about these beautiful things about keeping dunya. We'll get to them, but I want to talk about this 6 imams, the hadith right now that we talked about, that even staying away from halal. What does this mean? Zuhud means you taking a little, but you're not taking too much. Taking just enough. This is like those people who are at a buffet. You and I, we're gonna fill it up because we don't get to come back to this table. It'll be too hard to get up. Maybe somebody else will eat all this lovely food that we wanted. So what we do, we put 10 jalebis in our plate. We fill our plate up with lots of biryani. What happens? Eat this much, you're full. And all this went to israf. It went to waste. Didn't eat it. Didn't let someone else kept it for ourselves, hoarded it, and now we have to account for it because Allah will say, you wasted this. A person wanting this food is hungry right now. In the same method, in the same gathering. We're not even talking about poor people here. We're talking about people who all were hungry at that moment. They came for iftari as well. But we took all this because we said, I've been fasting. I need all this. But we couldn't eat it all. So we misjudged our hunger. We also misjudged how much we need. A zuhud, what the person who is zahid, is practicing zuhud, what do? They realize, I only need this much. I need this much to sleep in. I only need this much of a house. I really don't need 7 bedrooms. I don't really need a massive garden. I just need this much. And I don't need to show off, to show the world I need all this. I need a fancy car to show people, I can afford this. They have it all. They don't have this need to show off. They have it all. They don't have a need to have it all. They have it, but they take only a little bit out of it. So what is this? It's actually attaining taqwa. Allama Majlisi talks about this as levels of taqwa that a person can attain. There is a wara'at ta'bidi, which means that they stay away from haram, right? This is what we need to do as people who are in this world trying to be spiritual. They stay away from the prohibited. So they do this wara'at ta'bidi. Then the next level they go into the wara'at salihin. They're abstaining from things that may be haram. These are those people who say, no, it's considered makruh. Therefore, there is some haram in this. I'm going to not even go into the makruh. I'm not even going to touch things that are questionable items. People like us, we say, well, it's not haram. It's just makruh. This means that you didn't look at the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Didn't try to understand that there is something in this that has a danger. I don't want to touch it because it might take me into a slippery path. Then the third level of taqwa is wara'i muttaqin. These are people who abstain even from the permissible things. So that hadith of the 6th imam just now that we talked about, that they are staying away from the halal even. Why? Because they are worried about the hisab. They're worried about the hisab kitab. They're worried about the accounting. So one is absolutely protected from the haram because they're also staying away from halal. They're taking just a little bit. And then the 4th level, which is a very beautiful level we want to reach, is the wara'i sadiqin. They avoid everything that is not religious. Basically, they're not wasting their precious time. What are they doing? They're not doing useless acts. They are saying, is this going to take me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it going to get me closer to Him? That's what I want to do. I don't want to even do stuff that is allowed, but it's wasting my time. not allowing me to get connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a quality of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who used to look at everything and say, is this going to take me close to God or away from it? Is this going to take me nowhere? It's just a pleasure, like watching TV, for example. But even watching TV can take us into haram. But even when we're doing something that's, let's say, embroidery, something like video games, something that you're allowed to do, but what happens? It's not giving you sawab. It's not giving you even guna, right? Wasting your time, precious time that you could have to attain Jannah. Who knows how long we have? Who knows if we're going to get old enough to experience time to be able to do good things. Here and now is all we have. So the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Dhar, and he said a very beautiful thing to Abu Dhar. He said to him that when a person abstains from dunya, what happens is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses him in certain ways. How does he bless him? Very beautiful hadith here. The one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves a human being, He gives them, they don't want the world. They've left the dunya. They've abstained from it. Now Allah, how does He bless him? He puts wisdom in his heart. This wisdom in your heart makes you realize, I don't want to get lost in all of this nonsense. This is going to keep me here. So the wisdom improves, and Allah makes it able to now say to people things that make them leave the dunya. And what does Allah do? He allows this person now to see the world for what it is. He sees the dunya and he sees all the flaws in it. Now, this is not to hate the world. It's that we don't get involved in it. You see these people, lovely friendships, crazy friendships, deep friendships. Often we look at them and we say, how lucky they are that they have these friends. I wish I had friends. But we have seen a wisdom of not having deep friendships. Why? What do these friends do? Often take you into haram. Also, the jealousy, the two-facedness, also the heartbreak, the betrayal, the terrible things that happen in friendships sometimes makes us not want to get into it. You know what? We see the flaws of this dunya. This person who's running after this person, watch, is going to hurt them, because that's the nature of dunya. This woman who loves this man so much, he is going to let her down. This woman who loves her children so much, she gives her life for them, she's going to be hurt, because the nature of this world is these very children will break our heart. These children that we loved so much, we gave everything for. So we get to see the world. This is Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, we get to see the world for what it is. We get to see its flaws. We get to see this is, we're so materialistic. We say this is a bimari hai. This is an illness. This is a obsessive compulsiveness, right? And we also see its cure. We see the shifa that Allah gives us. So what does Allah do? He takes him out of the world, emotionally, mentally. He's in the world now, but he's not really. You know what? I've seen this with people who have experienced great loss. They've broken, they're shattered. Their son died. Their loved one died. They left them. They betrayed them. Some massive illness came into their lives. You know what happens? They've become pained. They look very calm. They're very calm. They've cried now. They've cried. But now at this level, they've calmed their things. They enjoy the world, but they don't get very much into it. They don't want it. Their greed is gone. You look at them, you say, you don't want all this? It's all right. It's enough for us. Because they have experienced pain. Nothing can give them their son back. Nothing can take away that illness that they're faced with. They have now understood that this world is temporary. Why should I be so happy? The world is going to hurt me. Let me not take too much into it. Let me not get connected to anybody too deeply. So we've got this person who is a zahid. They abstain, enjoy the world. Wholesome things they don't take. Take a little bit. They take in their plate at the buffet. only this much. I only need this much. I know I'm not going to be needing more. Even if I want more, I'm not going to take it. Let there be some space in my stomach. These people look good, right? Physically, they look good. Because they didn't take. They have learned to take this much and to be content with it. So this becomes then the abid, person who is performing worship. They're very, very much now involved in prayer and fasting. They've become an abid, a devotee, and they're continually turned towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Continually. Their heart shines with this knowledge of God. It's illuminated them. It's their goal. This is what they want to live for and what they want to die for. And so the qualities of this person who is materialistic, we saw. They are buying things all the time. They are not happy unless they have the next fashionable thing. They're not happy unless they experience everything that is glittering. When the Prophet went for Miraj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him what's going to happen to those people who were lost in dunya. They were, they're going to be, this is the fire for them. This is what and the Prophet asked him, what did these people do? Ahl dunya, people of the world. They had hubb dunya. They were loving dunya. What did they do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him all the secrets. He showed them what is truth. He said these people, they were excessive in their food, were excessive in their sleep, ghaflat. They were sleeping, heedlessness, but also physically sleeping a lot. If you sleep a lot, you're going to have time to do Salatul Layl. You're going to have time to do worship. No, sleeping all day and sleeping all night. Those people wake up at 11, 12. The world has gone far, done a lot of things. But they were sleeping. Also, these people excessively laughed and they were excessively angry. So what did they do? Basically, they did extremes. They want to laugh all the time. They want to party. They want to enjoy. They want to have drugs and alcohol and food and people that they, give them pleasure, physical pleasure. Lost. We see these parties. We see these people, often driving by, walking by such places. When you look at them, like they're having a lot of fun, right? But we don't realize this is not fun. This is heedlessness. They think this is what they need, but it is an evil refuge for them. And also anger. People are angry all the time, always upset about everything. Nothing makes them happy. They're impatient with people. They're angry. These are the people who are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains it to the Holy Prophet, they were never satisfied. And what did they do? They never forgave. They don't forgive these type of people who are going to go into this hell. They never forgive, nor do they accept the excuse of the one who apologizes to them. Very, very beautiful thing. We might be the best person, lovely person, giving charity, doing everything, but we have a problem. We don't get along with our own brother. We'll never accept when someone says sorry to us. Our best friend upset us, now forget it. We're never going to forgive them. That's it. This is the kind of person we've become, that we don't accept even the apology of a person. These were the people when they were lazy when it came to obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but were very bold when it came to disobeying him. Their hopes were far-fetched, and they never accepted their hopes. They didn't say, what's going to happen to you? What have you done? Enough. What did you do? Talk to their soul. They're not reflective, and they help very little. They're not very useful people. They talk a lot. They talk about being good, but they're not truly good. They fear Allah very little. They get very happy and excited when they see food. This is the description Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the Holy Prophet when he goes to Miraj. And Allah said, they never thank me when they are happy times. They're ungrateful. They're always looking at what they don't have. They pine for these things. And they're never patient when they're in trouble. They are always angry, upset, impatient, and restless. They love to praise themselves, even for what they never did, and will claim what is not theirs. really making me think about this era of social media, where we are all over social media saying, I did this, I did that, look at me, it's all me, praise me, I did this, I did that. And also, even what we didn't do, we take credit for it. And it's very scary. We also have ideas. So many YouTube influencers. You look at this, think, wow, what an amazing decorating video. What an amazing recipe. What a nice tweet they did. You find they've copied somebody else, and they're claiming it as if it's their witty saying. So many people, so many. So it's really scary that this is happening, because we are in it for the likes. We really want those viral videos. We do anything for that like. So these people are always talking about their desires and what they like, and they like to mention the fault of others, but they will hide the good deed of those same people. They love to say, do you know this person did this person did this, but they don't want to say, do you know how good they do, how much khairat they're doing, how many people they're feeding, do you know how many family members they've helped? No, they only want to say, but this person, they might look good to you, but do you know exactly what they really are? Let me tell you. So this is the kind of people that will end up in hell. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even asked more and said, Ya Allah, tell me more about these people. How do I identify them in the world? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied, they are ignorant, they're foolish, these are jahil people. They show no humility for the one who even teaches them. The teacher who took time to come to teach us in madrasa, or who came on the mimbar to teach us, or who spent time in our lives to teach us something. What do? We act like we know more than them. We even now criticize them. We don't even stand up when they enter a room. We don't even salam. We don't even give them salam. Nor do we ever message them that, you're the person who did this for me. Thank you. And many people, you'll go out of your way for them. And, you think that maybe they'll love you now a little bit more, or they'll at least send you a thank you. But no, they took and then they're gone. They will not give you your haqq. And this is also, we understand the dunya. And when people want you, they will beg you, please, we need you. Please, we need you. They'll phone you. They'll come to your door. Please, please, give us some time of your time. And when you do it, when you go out of your way, when it comes to paying you for giving your haqq, giving you time, giving you love, they are nowhere to be seen. They are lost. They show no humility for the one who teaches them, and they themselves see themselves as very intelligent. But the wise, they know them to be foolish. They know them for what they really are. And this is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, work for your world as if you will live forever, which means you need to earn a living. You need to set some up so that your children have some money for education. You need to have a roof that doesn't leak. You can't say, oh, I'm going to die tomorrow. Why should I fix the leak? No, live as if you're going to live forever. But work for your hereafter as if you will die tomorrow. What a beautiful saying. And this is also a hadith of the Imam Ali alayhi salam. Very beautiful hadith. That, you can't be just sitting around and just doing ibadat, or, reciting the Holy Quran. So this is all I need to do day and night because I need to work for the akhirah. No, do that. But also there is a balance. You need to also work for the world, because Allah has put us in this world. It's a temporary world, but we are going to be here for a few years. So you do need to use your aql and need to prepare. Let's look at some of our comments that are coming in. Sister Fatima Tivalwala says, Salam. Sister Shabni Sivji says, Mashallah. And Sister Batul Banu Dhalla from Ohio sends her salam and has tuned in. Someone named Allahu Akbar has also their salam. And then we have our regular viewer, Zinat Larek from Mumbai. She has said, Mashallah, what an incredible way of explaining how to not get involved in dunya. The amazing way to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah bless you. A big salute to TV. Thank you so much, Sister Zakira. Zina Dhalla, for loving and sending these messages for me. Thank you so much. So, in Natural Balagha, Allah subhanahu Imam Ali alayhi salam has reminded us again and again that a person's zuhud, his a detachment from the world, is how much yaqeen he has over what is permanent. So how much zuhud should you do? It depends on how much you understand how permanent akhirat is. You will not want this world. You get more yaqeen about the akhirah. It's so beautiful, so beautiful. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, how, if you don't know the value of the hereafter, how will you abstain from this world? So we need to increase our knowledge of what the hereafter is in order to really develop this natural zuhud in us. And then we need to also be very sincere. Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, don't be like those who want your, but then you do actions for this world. You're doing dunyavi things. You don't look like you cared about the hereafter. You speak against the world like a zahidin, he says. Don't be like this person who speaks like a zuhud. Oh, this dunya is nothing. Dunya fani hai. I have to leave this world. This is temporary. You know, we know how to say all these beautiful things. But he works for the world like those who long for it. If you really were a zahid, you wouldn't spend 50, 60,000 in making your house look beautiful. You're a real zahid, you wouldn't buy that $30,000 purse. You wouldn't even buy a $4,000 purse. So we all have a lot of work to do. You're a true zahid. You wouldn't care about the stains on your carpet, about the stains on your tile or on your furniture, because you would say, this is temporary. But that person is crazy. You have stained my floors. Oh my God, this is my new carpet. Someone spills something, we're upset. Something breaks, we're like, ah. But we should be saying, well, this is dunya. It's supposed to break. This is why Allah tests us, that our most beautiful dishes break. Our most lovely things break. So that we understand that this is temporary. This is a test for us. How do we react when our favorite dish breaks? Because we were getting dunyawi. We were getting too connected to this world. So we need to tone it down a little. And then Imam Ali alayhi salam has also taught us how to identify this true zahid. You want to look for a teacher. You want to look for someone who's a true person who has left this world, detached. This zahid we're looking for. How do we do it? He identifies us. He's a true zahid. The one who hides is zuhud. Beautiful. This is not this person who's on social media saying like me, who always asks, did you like my food? Do you like me? Did you watch my this? Did you do this? Do you like my house? You didn't even say anything. They don't want your praise. And they don't want to show you that they are awake all night praying. They don't want to show you that they have $1 million. They're not a hoarder. That million they're giving to the poor, but they're not doing it for. These are the Bande Khuda who give donations, but you don't even see their names show up. They don't want to identify themselves. They are true zahid who, in reality, don't care about the world. It comes and goes. It doesn't make them happy, nor does it make them sad. So he said, when you see a zahid who runs away from the people, then follow him. He's not, these people who are stoking people's egos, or in Urdu we say maska laga rahe hain sabko. They're like trying to be friendly. They are very influential people themselves, but they need that big group around them. They need a whole posse. They need a gang. When they come, people say, wow, look at him, they have so many friends. A true zahid doesn't run after the people, doesn't work to make people love them. They run away from the people. They don't want to keep too close with anybody. They don't even like the flatterers. There's people who are always like, oh, you're great. They don't want to hear praise about themselves. Imam says, when you see such a zahid who runs away from the people, follow him. Look at him and try to be like him. And when you see him running after the people, run away from him. Don't go after this person who is dunyawi and also who runs people. So Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, the Imam, has advised us that the way to become a zahid is to remember death frequently. Remembering death abstain from the world, from materialism. It makes us really believe that dunya is fani. I have to leave this. I'm spending all this. What if I die tomorrow? I'm buying all this. Will I ever wear it? So when we think this way, when we think maybe I am going to die today. We're going to act better. We're not going to become materialistic, and we're going to not run after things that are dunyawi. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that a zahid, he prefers the akhirah to the world, and he prefers being unknown over fame. And what does he do? He struggles over comfort. He doesn't want, he prefers struggling over comfort. He wants to take that difficult road. You see, why are you giving yourself trouble? Sit, be comfortable, relax. No, they want to keep working. They want to keep working. They don't want to sit down. They want to exert themselves. And the true Zahid prefers hunger instead of overeating. They fast, and then when they break their fast, they eat very little. Prefer remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They prefer dhikrullah over being in ghafla, being heedless. And his body is in this world, but his heart is in the hereafter. So he said, the sixth Imam, that typically what stops a person from practicing zuhud is when he's shackled by lusts and desires. So when Allah takes away our lusts, takes away our desire, takes away the people that we fell in love with, that really made us passionate, He takes them away. You know what happens? It allows us to do zuhud. When you have lusts and desires, you cannot. You're shackled by this. And first and foremost, of course, the need to abstain from haram, as Imam says, is the way to get zuhud. And just to end with this, that the Holy Prophet ﷺ has said the best zuhud is to abstain from sins. Sins is actually dunya, is dunyawi passions that make us become connected to this world. They don't want us to want to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't want to die because we want to live in this world so badly. The Prophet ﷺ says needs to combat addiction to desires, even if it is halal. Aim for the hereafter, aim for detachment from this dunya. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to practice zuhud, so that each of us become a zahid or a zahida. Ilahi Ameen. With that, I take your leave, and inshallah I'll see you next Friday, same channel, same time, 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Toronto time, right here on Hidayat TV on Fridays, with Understanding Islam with myself, Zakira, Shyrose, Dhalla. See you next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.